Hi people, so the Wheel of Time sucks. Sooner or later, you have to face this pure fact that there are one-star reviews of your franchise, book series, or whatever. And this franchise is pretty much dead since 2013 or 14. It just got it terminated. And I see you want to make a TV show about it, so you won't be able to avoid criticism. Criticism it does not equal only saying positive stuff about a thing, but also facing the negative aspect. And the Wheel of Time has plenty of negatives. So you would better pay attention to those monster reviews, as this will be one of those. I don't care if you pay too much attention to my video, but you should pay attention to the fact of the one-star reviews, so you can fix your potential problems and maybe get into your head why this series of books is not exactly talked about. It is not popular. Yes, I've seen the sales data. But when you go and buy 10 copies of that stupid book, you artificially inflate the numbers. You expand it like a balloon, but the fact that it is full of air won't change. So, oh, and one of your heroes, Daniel Green, maybe you should pay attention to his newest read-along videos. Yes, I recommend those. Why? Because they suck. I especially wish to pay attention to two videos, the first two of the series. One, for the first one, the ending is interesting, where it is revealed he does not reread the series, but flushes things out of his head, and because this is a pretty long series, 15,000 pages according to my ebook version, you can forget things. And as there is a lot of repetition and not a very good writing style, things just tend to blend in your head. So you will need notes. And if you say you will read that fucking year volume, you better do it, because else you do the fucking mistake as Mr. Daniel Green confuses book 1 with book 3's ending, where Moraine blasts with laser that fucking Forsaken, or Chosen, or whatever they name themselves. So, that's one. Now take out the second video of his. What do we see? That he doesn't fucking read the series even when he takes it in his hand. How do we know this? Because for the first book, he puts out all 15 copies of his that inflated the selling numbers. Now, what we see in the second installment, we see that he doesn't fucking have a paper print copy of the second book. He has an audiobook, which is a fucking bad idea when you have a book series where every volume is like 1,000 pages on average, and is commonly known that nothing freaking happens in them. Now, just make a quick rundown on the series from book 1 through book 5. 5, also including Book 0 and the Attack on Shire Ghoul short story. These are all written by Robert Jordan, the original writer, and they are all canon. Now, I won't bother with the early Ravens prologue inserted in whenever. It doesn't freaking add too much to the story or takes away fine. Now, book 1 is an especially interesting story because it is a fan fiction made out of the Lord of the Rings. Yes. How this got into print, I have no idea. He could probably have been sued over it. Uh, Aside the fact that it was a pretty bad fanfiction, so didn't really worth it, probably. But let's see what happens in book 1. We don't have a single character. You can get the feeling that Rand is some one-dimensional Disney Prince of Charming. He will stay that way. But why are there the other characters? Names, not even characters, because they don't have personality or narrative reason to be there. Okay, Moraine is fine, works, pretty solid. Lan is a companion, okay, works. Miniway, or whatever you want to call it, we know Robert Jordan wasn't creative at all with the giving names. Mountain of Doom, yeah. So Nynaeve, or whatever the fucking spelling is, Nine Cat, Nyan Nyan Cat, or whatever you want to call her, is a fucking throwback to Bible. It is Nineveh. So we know her entire character arc. It will be the Nineveh character arc, where Nineveh sucked, then got redempted. Cool. I don't really have anything about it, but okay. But I say this. Why do we have the other characters? I tell you why. Perrin and Matt with one T. Don't know why. Just like Bella. We know from the Twilight series, Bella is written with two L's, especially if it is female. With one L, it is a male name. Don't know why Horse runs with that single L, Bella. Whatever. But Perrin and Matt is there because there was Pippin and Merry in Lord of the Rings. No other reason. Perrin gets some character in book 2 and gets some proper characterization in book 3, then does a side story in book 4, then disappears in book 5. Yeah, thanks. He could have been added in book 3, sent to save Rand's hometown in book 4, and down with it. Why? But otherwise, he shouldn't be there. A proper editor would have cut out it. And Matt is even worse. He starts as a prankster, gets education as a juggler, then the whole of it gets retconned and gets some magic items and is like Perrin in book 2. Well, no, book 1. Perrin is the werewolf with axe. That's not a character. That's 2 items on the character, but That's not a characterization. That's not a personality. Those are not personality traits. So all the characters are not even one-dimensional. Later you can go them one-dimensional with a couple of books deep in, but they are just paper cuts. It's not a character-driven story. There is no story, there are no characters, it is just an empty shell of drawing a map. Why don't you just draw a map and put it in an appendix? And why don't my ebook version have a high resolution map? And why neither of my ebook versions have a map of the Isle Wastes at all? I have no idea. Unless you went into livelihood it is and put it in some merchandise expanding books where you get maps and all kind of shit for an extra $100. I have no idea. Why are they not in the book? Either of them. So we get the start. By the way, structurally, book 1 is Lord of the Rings, but I have no problem with it. Because the story differs a lot in details. Yes. Although I could live without the catchphrases of Lord of the Rings thrown in for good measure. Yeah, that's fucking disturbing. Now, in book 1, it takes a couple hundred pages to start the story. Okay, fine, whatever. But then they go through some villages where nothing happens. Why do we have the name of the village? Why do we have names of the people in the villages? They will have no significance. Why? Then they do the Lord of the Rings passing the river on some raft scene. Yeah. Then they pass more villages where nothing happens. Then they go into the nameless city from Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft, and it should be a bizarre eldritch monster, but Lovecraft's story and all the eldritch monsters works because of the build-up. We have no character building, we have no world building, we have no story. This place has no significance, and while Robert Jordan writes okay fight scenes, many times even good fight scenes, this scene is just big empty husk. Then they go through the party split, and they go through other villages where nothing happens. Then they teleport, because maybe even Robert Jordan had his boats full of names and empty nothingness, to the eye of the world. What is it? There was no build up to this place, this thing. It's a magic well full of magic. Okay, fine. Then there comes 2 Forsaken, whatever they are, how many they are. We'll get it in book 2, but that's one book too late. There is a okay fight scene in one of them. Then we switch to fighting the big bad end boss. This proves this was never intended to be 14 books, 15 books, whatever many text series. This is the ending, before the big bad boss, the BBB. End of story. By the way, The second Forsaken that attacked, what happened with it? We don't know. It died. Okay, fine. So book 2 happens. The setup is a chase story where the big bad boss henchmen come in and take a artifact and runs with it, and the heroes have to catch them. Fine. Why do they take two artifacts? And it's not like they split them. That never happens. They are handled as one object. They function as one object. Why two? Why writing two artifacts if you won't do anything with it? No idea. Also, this book also, as all the books will have do so, don't start out in a couple of 100 pages in. The worst will be maybe book 4 or 5, where the entire first half, which was printed at occasion as a separate book, is just nothing, sitting around, waiting for the party to catch on with the story. The story will start in the second volume of that volume. What is happening? So they pass through a desert where nothing happens, and the two female main character or something, I don't know how they to call them, because they are not the main character, they are not the protagonist, we just have the most focus on them, are in the magic school of Hogwarts and get some education of magic. Why do we need two? And they also don't split. Why we have two? You want to show the magic training, send in one, and it's fine. You don't need two. I tell you why there is two. Because Robert Jordan realized the female he started sucks, is an empty husk, has no character, is useless scrap. So, and the editor said, who cares? It's a fanfiction. We won't edit it out. And brought in Nineveh, and as a substitute, because she was more interesting, but forgot to delete the character, and it's not like it was published in sequentially, like, I don't know, Stephen King's the jail movie with supernatural black person. So you had time to fix it, you had the opportunity. Robert Jordan was just a lazy fuck who decided, who cares? I wrote 1,000 pages, and no one will bother. I'm the new Stephen King. No editor at my books. Stephen King's 1,000 pages books suck too, because they lack editing. It started with it. It had no consistency, no build up, no proper arc. Just stuff happened. So whatever. We get another kind of teleporting. Why? One was not enough? Apparently not, because the plot demanded it. Robert Jordan wrote himself into a corner where he couldn't split up the party properly here. And we get this Who Is It game of Robert Jordan, which we got in the first book, but that there it's sucked in another way. In the first book, part Jordan Flynn was transformed into this mad beggar, and we saw the transition. Jordan made no secret of it. So why did he pretend in the second half of book one that it's a mystery? And this way he made his characters stupid because they were there just like us. And so the transition. He made his characters stupid because the plot demanded so. This will be the most annoying thing for the ruler of Camlin, Morges, who is the mother of Elaine, one of the useless female main focus character, who is described as winning the game of the houses, like that fucking Brandon or whatever Stark, that legless rocks at the end of Game of Thrones, just won the game of houses without doing a single thing. There, really, that Brett didn't do a single thing. Here, we are told Morges won it, but never shown, and is told that she won with pretty low resources with only like 2 person supporting her, like one of the servants and one of the sword masters, one of the bard supported her, yeah. And then there is, this is in book 5, that's the room of the series, that's the point of the room, the Danny Wiseau movie, or Birdemic of the series, everything falls apart. So we are told that Morges won the play of the houses and became queen, despite all odds, but then we see she realizes she has amnesia, and realizes it must be magic, but figures it must be her lover, but as he is male, he can't be mage. So she just decided that nothing, it's a big mystery. The problem is, being a male mage isn't instant madness. 2. How would you recognize he's in madness if you don't know how the magic madness works? And you are under a magic spell, you know that. Or, I tell you another way of solving. Hire the female mage. Or, be real clever, like someone who won the play of houses, and say, he's a Forsaken. Let's panic. Everybody panic. No, we can't have that, because the plot demands so. So she is made stupid for this instance, because the plot demanded so, that she be stupid. So she is still stupid now. So there is this, who is it playing this friend teleported to an alternate dimension, which is stupid. You don't do that, because you deflate your risks. Everything goes wrong, we just move to another dimension. We can solve it here. We invite some Deus Ex Machina from that other dimension. Or everything goes wrong and this dimension sucks and collapses. Who cares? They exist in other dimensions too. So what are the stakes here? Or Like here, you set up that this is preordained. God knows everything, takes care of it. Yeah, those other dimensions sucked because quantum chances, but this dimension will rule over all. So where is the tension? What? Where are the stakes? If we know it will turn out well, I don't know. Inform me. So here in this alternate dimension, they meet with a female. To get into this alternate dimension, you need magic. So she definitely has magic. Whatever she lies about, yeah, she lies that. She obviously lies that she don't have magic because she ended up here somehow, and to end up here, you need magic. And she sticks to she not being a Sadai. Okay. What else she can be? Obviously Forsaken. Okay, whatever. Can we get more clues? Yes. She says, oh, use your spell to get out of this dimension. Friend refuses. So some monster appears. They deal with it with weapons. So this character says, oh, but what if 5 appears? And they deal with them with weapons. Then she says, what if 100 appears? Yeah. How dumb do you think we are, Mr. Robert Jordan? So they get out of this dimension and get into a city where nothing happens. Yeah, the evil people catches up and steal back both of the stuff. Not some local person steals it, no, they steal it back. Because our team steals from the evil people a couple of 100 pages ago. Yeah, okay, but they are waiting for the troops left behind because of the teleport. Okay, and through this they go through. We spend like 200-300 pages to in a firework factory. Why? They are presented as a faction, but they don't do anything. They are not important. They are just firework factory. Why? Then the evil team teleports to where they intended to do, west. Now my problem with the evil team in book 2 is they wanted to go north. Imagine where there was this Padam Fine character, he wanted to go west. Imagine where the evil team went. South. This makes absolutely no sense. But okay. They went west. For whatever reason. My guess was there was not well, but okay established this group of crusaders, these paladins called Children of the Light. That will get another section here. So they will deliver there and make some big conspiracy or something because they are illusions, these children. Maybe they just pretend to be on the light side or whatever. Or this Padam Fine is more clever than the normal evil henchman, whatever. No, they go into the sanctions. Who are they? No clue. No clue why they are in this book. They have no connection to this world. In the lore, in book 3, we get that King Arthur sent some troops overseas and now they reside in America and now they want to return, but they are not Americans, they are Nazis. Nazis from World War II, led by gender swapped Adolf Hitler, because we have to be, I don't know, SGB movement wasn't a thing back then, and they are Nazis. I don't know why you want Nazis in your party, in your book, in your story, and you obviously have to get rid of them, but it is pretty early established in books 3 or 4, one of Matt's vision and another clue from somewhere else, that one of the main characters, Matt, to be precise, written there so it's no spoiler even, will marry the Nazi leader, the genocide Adolf Hitler. What the fuck are you doing? You are finding excuses for the Nazi party? You give them power? You keep them in power? Why? And again, this is a pretty simple story. The evil people take the MacGuffin, bring it to wherever, the good catches up and there is a heist. Fine. Why the evil people delivered to this third party that has nothing to do with the story? No idea. But could be fine. Could be worth building. You just have to do one thing. Single thing. Put Padam Fine at the end of the story. He stole the MacGuffin. Eventually. He's the evil of the book, obviously. Pretty much set up to be. Fights through the Sanction. Get the stuff from Padam Fine. Fine. You have 11 more Forsaken for the rest of the series. No reason not to fight the Forsaken here too. Just fight Padam Fine. The story structure is suspiciously the same as the previous volumes, so make something different. But we can't have that. The MacGuffins are at the Nazi party, and we fight not even a Forsaken, but the big evil boss again. And not just fighting it. It's a big battle in the cloud. Why? And I know why, because I know, starting from book 3, especially in the second half of it, and the entirety of book 4, and a bit in book 5, it is just a rip-off of Dune. It's not even just taking the story structure anymore. It's taking the factions, taking the characters, taking the entire story development, everything. It's just Dune. They should have sued. Make a legal case out of it. Because it's bad. It ruins the franchise too. I don't understand. But okay. What happens here? What's this fight in the sky? This is ripped off from Michael Moorcock's Choral trilogy from the second book, Swords of Queen. This explains a lot of other things, like the trolls called Trollocs. Yeah, the name is Troll, but they don't look like a Lord of the Rings troll. They are the Chaos factions transform some humans mixed in with animal parts. That's not a troll. I know what this is. They are from the Corum trilogy. There was a faction there who sold their soul to the chaos, to the evil gods, and become blended with animals. That's that. It's a ripoff, continuous ripoff. 5 books, 6, and it's a ripoff of other better books, other good books, because this is a shit, nothing. And the worst thing here is there is nobody. You could make a case from book 3 that in the end there was a body that, yeah, at the end of book 1 the fight with the big boss wasn't with the big boss but some channeling through one of the Forsaken, because there was a Forsaken that died for no reason. You could say, yeah, this is just the same. Here there is nobody. It was the big evil boss. Defeated. End of story. You can't continue from here. And there is the friggin' name throwing. It gets worse. Because there is this sailor, smuggler, Domon. Why does he reappear here? Especially if he doesn't do what he's set up to do, to transport the female characters out of the final battle city. Why was he here? No idea. We also get informed in book at the end of book 4 or in book 5, probably in book 5, that the Senchan didn't took the 2 seal presented in book 2. It is revealed in maybe it's revealed in book 4 that Moraine took them. How? When? That never happened. But okay, whatever. Worse, it is thought they are destroyed. How? Why? And this didn't happen story, thing which we would be interested in, happens in book 5. Maybe including book 4, where in book 4, Rand sends a huge chunk of army to fix the situation in Carhan. It's a humanitarian mission, really. Like as soldiers going there and delivering food and law enforcement, that kind of stuff. What happened with that army? We know that part of it probably never arrived because there was a female who fucked around and killed her husband, whatever. So she was sent with these armies and high-rank noblewoman, and she ended up in Camlin. Then, when in Camlin the situation is solved, I mean, Morges is out, escaped, presumed dead by the other characters of the world. Rand teleported there and killed a lover of Morges, who was turned out to be a Forsaken. We know that he is. What happened with this woman? How did he get there in the first place? Because she was sent in Carhan. Why she did never arrive? And what did the army do that was sent into Carhan? Never learned. We would be interested. That would be proper story and world development. We never get it. And just everything feels unconnected, especially for a pretty long while. And even in book 5, you see there are a lot of factions that have no connections to the rest of the world. Like there are the gypsies, some pacifist faction that goes around and accused stealing children and stuff from wherever they stand for a while. They are gypsies, whatever their inward name is, I don't care. Something with T. They get connected to the world in book 4, where they are revealed to be the lost tribe of the Ayas, who are the Framans, and they are actually the 12 tribes of the Old Covenant from the Bible. Yeah. And later in book 5 it is revealed the Tarvalon mages are the Jews, regular Jews. The most and okay, so the gypsies are connected to the Ayals, and the Ayals are pretty well connected to the world, but 5 book deep, we still have not the connection. What the connection is between the Ayals and the Aes Sedai. We have no idea. We know they somehow broke their oath that they will be pacifist, but the problem is the connection would be why they were pacifist in the first place. No explanation. Or there is this other faction, the werewolves. What? They are people who get some wolf attributes and can telepathically communicate with wolves and have super strength, super speed, super stamina, like a werewolf. They are werewolves. How they fit into the world? We have no idea. Then, book 3 is actually pretty solid, and with all the empty spaces in book 3, you could merge book 1, 2, 3 into a 2-volume story. Would be good. But then book 4 comes, which sets up splitting the party in 3. They keep separated this time, and each of the parties fight a different Forsaken. In book 4, 2 of these will be retconned from being Forsakens, although they were pretty much set up to be one, even if not directly told. In book 2, Isham and Luke, they were meant to be Forsaken. Okay, retcon. None of them gets captured from the party of Perrin and Matt. None of them get any way defeated. Rand defeats his own, gets captured. Yeah, that's pretty much expected. The problem is, in book 3, Rand, oh no, this was in book 4. Yeah, I said properly, okay. In book 3, yeah, Rand got into getting his magic sword replacement. Yeah. As I said, this is book 4. The plot is split in 3. Yeah. I'm glad I made a map, otherwise I would be lost. Despite I read book 1 to 4 and the first third of the life twice, just to see that maybe I was mistaken and I just skipped over something, though I did not. And turned out no, these are just shitty books. So there is a final fight set up in for pairing. Who is in Amondsville, the birthstone village. Everyone is collected there. They make the pact with the children. Some 1,000 people were sent there, or 500, or whatever. It doesn't matter because they won't participate. We know from the setup, from the direct informations given, that the village, even if they start, could only withstand maybe 1,000 and 1,500, yeah, 1,500 enemies, and 2,000 had a chance to destroy the village. Entire destroyed. The village is under constant pressure. There is no new reinforcement. Okay. As a reinforcement, the children would have worked at a limit. The problem is we know that 500 attacking wouldn't even reach the defenses. And anything more than 2,000 would just swipe over this village without any reinforcement, which doesn't arrive. And as I said, the children won't participate in the battle, although there was a big battle plan and pretty hard bargaining all throughout the book. And this final battle in itself take the last 300 pages. There is nothing else. There is no rand, there is no mat, only this parent stuff, this final battle, and look over the army, the setting up the defenses, arranges who will do what are the enemies, and they have pretty good intelligence. They have actually two kind of intelligence. We know, because we read book 2, that this look in the village is the local Forsaken. And yeah, that happens, and he does some mustache twirling villain monologue that, oh, it's just 1,000 troll, I can use them, and that's enough to wash over your puny village. That would work. That's a pretty interesting thing, because we saw 500 didn't even reach the defenses. But that's fine. The other possibility, through Intel, that it is 10,000 trolls. It is like the Druid story, 1,000 orc. And that was a pretty huge problem, and it was really that long of a book to solve the situation, and they had armies going against them. No, this is a village which can only withstand at the best 2,000 attacker, now facing 10,000. And they somehow do it, or I don't know. And it was told that they will attack from two sides, so no one can escape. So they arranged that the bigger children, 12 years old, will carry the really small ones, 0 to 5 years, and the others will run with them. And women will even fight. Now, forget all this, because attack happens only from one side. We don't know the size of the attacking army. The children do squat. The women decide to not protect the children, but fill in the ranks, because the children went away. They were supposed to fight. They were not supposed to take care of the children, making them escape. The children themselves, with a couple of gypsies that turned up there. What happened? What happened with the editing? It's obvious that after like 800 pages, the editor just gave up and said, fuck up, fuck off, I don't care, write whatever we want, this is not a good book, I don't care. They don't buy it, so I don't have to bother with the series ever again. That's the only scenario I can imagine happening. Then at the end they get not one, but two reinforcement from wherever. Yeah, two army appears from local villages or whatever. And it's pretty much, this entire setup is pretty good. Because you have a village, you have a forest, you have an attacking army of trolls. Yeah, fine. It has good build up, had good build up, and even with all the falling apart, at least it wasn't a ripoff of Lord of the Rings or whatever. But no, with the reinforcement, you just realize you just read a bad fanfiction of Battle in Helm's Deep, Book 2 of Lord of the Rings. Any goodwill went away with it. Crashed and burned. And Book 5? Character personalities get swapped. Setups are forgotten. Plot developments thrown in the trash. Characters are made dumb. Characters act differently how they supposed to. There are hundreds of pages for no reason. There is no story development. There is no character development. There is a fucking circus taking the place. No idea why. Zero. I just have no idea. And the series fucks up even the good moments it has. Like in book 3, they are at the start they are camping in the desert and there comes a gypsy woman. They are pacifists. How they survive in this environment, we have no clue. But okay, they are. Maybe it's magic. This extreme pacifism gives them magic. Magic protection. Yeah. No one attacks them because magic pacifist protection. Whatever. Could work. Fine. And the camp is attacked by the trolls and no one harms gypsy woman. Good. As it's supposed to. I assumed they don't resist, so they don't get killed. Fine. They survived. Evolution. Evolution in work. And then there is a moment that Randy's almost killed, or Perrin, or whatever, I don't care. They are interchangeable. They have no character. And no narrative personality. They don't have narrative function. Whatever. So this gypsy woman grabs the uncle of this troll or whatever that prepares to kill Rand or whoever, Perrin. Fine. Genius. This is a genius moment. She gets killed. She earned what? A decisecond? A tenth of a second? And that's not enough? That's all what they needed. Situation solved. Hero escaped. Heroic sacrifice happened. I loved the scene. I loved it. But then later, the gypsies in Emmonsville. Yeah, they come in, they intend to go away, and they get massacred. What happened? Where is the magic pacifist protection? What happened with that? You killed that moment in book 3 with an event in book 4 which you didn't even use because the gypsies would have been the adult caretakers of the village children escaping to the forest from the battle. Never happened. Why? Why you do this to yourself? You don't have an editor? Please, at least make someone read your stuff. Someone with the brain cell. Not even two. One. One would be enough. And really, book 5. At one point this broke me. And I started laughing. Like Joker in the Joker. It was... I started throwing spoons on the screen. Like screaming of the room. It was no longer trying to find a good story, or story at all, get over the bad parts. It was so bad, it turned laughing stock, trash fire, shit fire, where you know it's shit. You just sit there to see what color the flames will be. There's no ultimate quality. And you know why? I explain why. There's the prequel thing that no one seems to bother reading. That's the most important part of the puzzle. Yes, it is. You know, book 1 started with the original prologue. I call it that easy. That's the easier thing to do. It is obviously that way because it was meant to be a fan fiction ripoff of Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings had the prologue that they won over Sauron, whatever. Good. That just made you confused all throughout the books. Up until I read the prequel novel, New Spring. Good. I tell you why. It's not good to read as a volume 1. Really don't have that function. But you better know that this will be what will retcon the original prologue. So actually you would be better off not even reading the first 5 volumes of The Wheel of Time. Read the glossary at the end of book 6 maybe, then read book 0 as the prequel, as the prologue. Maybe then the series will work out and it won't drag all the trash from book 1 to book 5, and maybe later some internal consistency appear and put in the right light with book 0. By the way, if you want to read all 15 books and Atacom Shayol Ghul short story, this New Spring has a connection to book 5. I think that's where Black Shadai's name is mentioned out of the 13 from book 3 or whatever, and there is a name drop there, so it works like a payoff. So read New Spring, after book 5. There is nothing else in it. I will go into the detail, but the Attack of Sheol has things that explain things that appear in book 4. So the Attack of Sheol should be read in after book 4. It explains where the two power level 9000 or 1 million Shangri-Las came from, where what the original use of the Ashadai White Rod had, and why the female Ashadai, the current day Ashadai, don't procreate. There's a lot of things in just 7 pages or something. So book 0's, it isn't even an expanded novella, because the second half is just a short story with its 200 pages. That's not a short story, that's its own book. And there was just added to it a bunch of other chapters for the front of it. That's not how you write a novel from a short story. That's not just not how things work. So book 0 is Moraine is sent. It is announced by the future-telling lady Ashadai that the dragon is reborn, and they go look after it. By the way, it's really annoying that 2 other person is hinted to be to have visions in the future. One of them is Moraine. I don't know why. There is this semi-lesbian relationship hinted between Moraine and Shion. I don't have a problem with it. If you read the manga Girlfriends, it's fine. There is some other lesbian thing going on amongst the Ashadai, at least it is implied. It is very tiring that everyone is naked who is female at the since the second half of book 4, and everyone is punked, naked as, and pretty much Robert Jordan's fetish is taking over. And in the second half they go into this lover of Lan, and they end up Lan being the protector of Moraine finally, and the whole book 0 seems to be an excuse to show what the final Ashadai initiation is, because Robert Jordan wrote himself into the corner with book 5, where he can't show that ritual anymore. He really clings to his cliff notes. He don't do world building, he just puts cliff notes on the table and calls it world building. It's not how world building works. Whatever. The story with Lan is like at age 15 he had groomed with this age 30 woman. So when he grows up, he will marry her daughter because she's a queen, so 2 kingdoms would have been united or something. And Moraine is pretty annoying, like Tila from Masters of the Universe revelation in the first half of this thing. And here there is a final battle happens with some Black Shadow, because we have to have something. So this situation of Lan grinding between 2 stones, he's pride and whatever, this Bushido thing going on, and this ex-lover of his, how he solves this situation. He lets the princess die. He could have, the ending is set up that this black Jedi has two hostage, one of it is thrown in a chasm, and princess is the second hostage, and Moraine catches her, and Lon is doing his own fight along this, some sport fight thing going on, who cares, and that's, that pretty much fades out, Lon's fight fades out, so it's pretty much we know it's ended. There was space in the text to write in that when Moraine can't cling anymore, Lon jumps there and pulls up the princess and saves the day. But no, he just lets her fall. But what this have to do with this book zero being the most important thing, at least out from the first five books and the prequel? Well, the original prologue started with Satan being the big evil. That's pretty bad. If you want a big successful franchise, you don't do religion. You just don't. Otherwise, your story will fade into oblivion and be on the top sales because your fans, more like cult, buys 10 of each volume, no idea why, just to inflate the sell